All right, folks, in today's video, we're going to be talking about the American empire collapsing. And I want to say that this actually pains me as an American, as someone who believes in the opportunity that we once had in this country. And they are definitely trying to take it away, and it continues to slip away for the average American. We're talking about that American dream, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness without relying on some sort of handout from our government. That is the American way, at least as far as I understand it, how I grew up, looking back at our history, and now we are seeing and watching it fall apart. I've been continuing to reiterate, I don't care what program you want to fund, we don't have money for any of the programs, right? And so whether you want to fund this war, this cause, or whatever it's going to be, we need to get back to the real issues here at hand, which is we are destroying our dollar in continuous pursuit of making everybody feel warm and fuzzy inside and completely disregarding the fact that countries around the world are ditching our US dollar. The trend is not your friend if you're middle class or poor in America, and this is only going to continue throughout the rest of this year and for decades to come if we don't check the powers that be and the direction that they're taking this country. I'm going to show you guys the data points to confirm my thesis, and I want you guys to let me know in the comments down below, what are you doing as you observe the American empire collapsing? What are you doing to take care of your family, your business, and your investments during this time? If you guys want to get in touch with me or get tapped in with any of our community resources as far as getting you cryptocurrency exchanges and wallets to secure your crypto, or if you're looking for precious metals, we can roll over a 401k retirement account or get the metal shipped directly to you. All of my community resources are available at zachrector.com, and that's the spot where you find our Patreon to get access to our Discord private community as well. Let's get straight into the update, folks. Now, I put out a tweet this weekend, and I said, guys, I believe that markets are going to be back to normal on Monday. But there was one caveat to that I should have mentioned in my tweet. But the caveat was markets are going to go back to normal as long as Israel doesn't respond. Now we are watching, though, as I believe it was the military general, one of the military guys in charge in Israel, basically said that they're already planning an attack on Iran, some sort of response. We don't know what extent it's going to be. All of the news programs we're talking about, are we going to be climbing up the escalation ladder, right? This tit for tat back and forth here that we're now observing. But once again, I bring this back to, can we even fund it? Right, they launched an attack. The estimates say that it cost Iran anywhere from about $30 to $60 million. And it cost, Israel only spent about $100 million of their own money, their own defenses. Meanwhile, it cost American taxpayers 1.1 to 1.3 billion. Like I said, whether you want to support the cause or not, can we cut a check that cashes is the question. And it's only going to cash for so long before more and more people are ditching our dollar for trade, dumping our bonds at the fastest pace since the great financial crisis. And now they have solutions like distributed ledger technology, and they're stockpiling gold so that they can effectively get away and conduct trade outside of the US system. So everything's off the table if Israel does respond, and the markets were back down just off the anticipation and the news that they were planning that attack. We watched it in all of the major indices dropping off, and we watched it as gold and silver actually spiked back up once again. So right on into it, folks. Iranian officials are warning that the country will attack Israel using weapons never used before if it persists in escalating tensions with Tehran. We're going to be watching this one very closely. Now back home, all part of a falling empire, we have external chaos, and then back at home in the homeland, we have internal chaos. We have protests taking place, pro-Palestine protesters, and I'm all for free speech. I'm all for peaceful protest. But this is the type of activity that disrupts and causes issues and causes chaos. This is the Kennedy Expressway at O'Hare International Airport in Chicago, and they're shutting it down. Continuing on, this is the Brooklyn Bridge, shutting it down. This would be the Golden Gate Bridge, shutting it down. Now, like I said, whether you like the program, whether you love the program, I don't think that we can cut a check that's going to cash. And in regards to this, is it bringing effective change? I understand frustrations. I don't like to see innocent civilians caught up in bankster wars, which is exactly what this is. Guess who's funding both sides of this war, by the way? Can you guys let me know in the comments down below? Guess who's funding both sides of this war? Okay, so this is my problem. I'm all for it. There's a lot of stuff that I want to go protest for. Would I ever consider shutting down a bridge? No. I'm going to go to a park. I'm going to keep it pretty much peaceful. But I'm also protesting with my money. So you want to do some effective change? Well, let's talk about having some effective change. Go stack some silver. Go stack some gold. Go stack some XRP. Or for the Bitcoin bros, go stack some Bitcoin. You want to get some change happening? Vote with your dollars. Vote with your money. That's what I'm doing. Continuing on here, folks, this is what's happening in the United States of America right now. Your Bill of Rights, those amendments that protected you, they are under the most significant threat that we've seen in the history of this country right now. We are looking at an NSA spy bill. This is happening right now in the Senate. They're about to pass a bill here, and we're going to hone in on what this bill does from Elizabeth Goten. If the bill becomes law, any company or individual that provides any service whatsoever may be forced to assist in NSA surveillance as long as they have access to equipment on which communications are transmitted or stored, such as routers, servers, cell towers, etc. That sweeps in an enormous range of U.S. businesses that provide Wi-Fi to their customers and therefore have access to equipment on which communications transit. Barbershops, laundromats, fitness centers, hardware stores, dentist office, the list goes on and on. It also includes commercial landlords that rent out the office space where tens of millions of Americans go to work every day. Offices of journalists, lawyers, nonprofits, financial advisors, healthcare providers, and more. As if the office space providers and landlords didn't have enough problems with the commercial real estate sacrifice that is underway, now they need to conduct a little bit of surveillance on behalf of our government as well. When the amendment was first unveiled, one of the FISA court amici took the highly unusual step of sounding a public alarm. Civil liberties advocates noted that the provision would encompass hotels, libraries, and coffee shops. And remember what they just did in passing the most recent FISA bill as well, right? This is the Fourth Amendment. We've thrown it out the door. Remember that old document that we don't teach our children about anymore, right? That Constitution? One of the most important pieces in human history, that was ever written, and it provided the opportunity. Once again, all we wanted was a level playing field. All we ever wanted was life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and we don't need your handout. Thank you very much. I don't want your handout, okay? I just want you to get the hell out of my way so I can go provide for my family and go bring value to my community. I'm going to bring a lot of value to my community. If you could just get out of my way, please. Okay, this is what we're dealing with the bureaucracy beast government that's trying to control us in every which way. And you want to see some control? God bless our friends up north in Canada, because every time I'm seeing videos from Canada, it's them struggling with inflation, can't feed their families, job fairs, job interviews where they're lined up down the street in Canada. And then you got Trudeau going around the little warehouse with the modular homes, talking about how they're going to spit out some more homes and do a little deal, do a little Trudeau deal. How's that program working out? Take a look at this one out of Canada. This is RBC, where they're not letting this customer withdraw cash. They ask him to prove why he needs cash, and they're not giving it to him. I'm not going to play the clip here. It's just 1 minute, 17 seconds long, but I'm not going to play this clip. Basically, it's just him trying to pull $3,000 cash out to go buy a car. They're not going to give it to him. They say, oh, well, maybe we can get you a manager. We can't do it today. They explain that the limit's $3,000. He says, I know you've told me that the limit's $3,000. I want my $3,000. They ain't giving it to him. They're telling him that he needs to provide a proof of sale, that he needs to provide something. This is for a private party transaction. I can't tell you how many times I've done this, right? Where I pull cash out of my bank account to go buy my little Honda Accord back when I was, young whippersnapper whipping a little Honda Accord around. I went and pulled, whatever it was, my $6,000 out to go buy it cash, whatever it was, right? We should have access to our funds, right? And they haven't pulled out the full social credit score system in Canada, but they've gotten pretty dang close. And in fact, we saw what they did with freezing the trucker accounts just a couple years ago, didn't they? So they're borderline, it's a tit for tat race here between Canada and China for who can be more authoritarian. Pretty incredible. You want to talk about losing your dang mind? Well, another state that's in the running for that would be California. The state of California announces that they lost track of $24 billion directed towards combating homelessness in the state. Well, I can tell you right now, they're going to need that too, because they got a serious homelessness problem there in California, and they're going to have a whole hell of a lot more with the way that they're running their state. How's that program working out? One of the worst states in the union as far as how it's being ran. Huge deficit, huge amount of debt, so many problems. And it's almost unrecognizable, the state of California. And we have many people in our community that are from California. Let me know in the comments down below where you guys are tuning in from. Huge shout out to our friends up north in Canada. God bless you guys. Really am backing and supporting your fight against what's going on up there and that craziness. And another state that needs our thoughts and prayers would be California. We have many patriots in our community that are from California, and they're talking about how that state is unrecognizable from where it was just 5-10 years ago. And we're only going to see these folks just continue to double down in these programs that got us here. It's no recognition, no shame, and they want to blame somebody else, blame some other issue, blame Trump, even though he's not even in president anymore, right? Blame the big bad orange man. Don't hold yourself accountable there, Gavin Newsom. Right. And it's not even political. I shouldn't have even mentioned Trump, because now folks are going to say, oh, it's not a Trump issue. Right? I'm bringing up Trump to say folks are still blaming Trump, and folks are going to once again blame Trump. I'm not talking about Trump in this. I'm talking about this isn't political. This is the program's not working out. You are broke. You are bust. You are running major deficits. Look at our U.S. empire running $3 trillion deficits per year. It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. And now we're seeing the solution provided to these countries around the world that want to get away from our dollar. And that's what Americans that are trying to, have an American dream should be most terrified about. Now, speaking of the American dream, you better make sure that you cut your check to that IRS. And in the case of wanting to get your refund back, well, apparently we had letters go out from the IRS in some cities and some states basically saying you need to come in and verify your ID before you can get a refund. Well, this led to basically riots and pandemonium taking place here. This is in Atlanta. People are outside of the IRS agency, the IRS center there, wanting to get their refund, and they had to shut it down. They had to shut it down in Houston too. This took place in Houston, took place in Atlanta. When you look at the IRS offices there in DC too, they've been under construction basically since 2020. It's like, what's going on here? You try to call into the IRS to get someone to pick up the phone. Nobody picks up the phone. I actually had an issue a couple years ago filing 941 and 944 forms. They told me to switch to a 941. I forget the exact details of this deal, but basically they told me to switch to 941. We were, it's basically whether you pay quarterly or whether you pay yearly for your 944, 941 withholdings and all that type of information. When you get to a certain threshold, then they want you to start filing quarterly, whatever. So we did that. And then they send us a letter saying, you didn't pay this amount. Well, we said, yeah, we did. We showed you. We sent you the proof. We paid. You just told us to switch to a 941 or whatever it was. And we sent you checks. We sent you the money. And whether we're paying a 941 or 944, we sent you the money. We sent the money to whatever you are as an entity, right? This IRS entity. We sent you a check. Doesn't matter which form. We sent it on time. We sent it early. And you still want to give us a penalty. And we're going back and forth trying to work with them. They send it to some third party. It wasn't a collections. It wasn't sent to collections, but it was sent to. It was just a joke. I'm like, I thought we were dealing with the IRS. Now we're dealing with some third party. We go back and forth. We show them. And then they say, oh, we're sending your case back to the IRS. So even when you try to pay them, They can't even figure out which form you need to be paying. One time we overpaid by 1 penny. Because I wish I was making this story up. This is in one of my businesses. We overpaid by 1 penny. I forget. They hit us with some penalty. I forget what it was. We paid the wrong amount. We paid 1 penny over. I wish I was joking. And they hit us with some crazy penalty. It was almost as if we didn't pay at all. It's like, well, we just paid over 1 cent. Clearly, you guys need it. Put it towards those 87,000 IRS agents that are going to be armed now. What is going on in this falling empire? Well, I'll tell you what's going on. This thing's collapsing, and the insiders are selling out, and they're running to the bunkers. They're running to the hills. And I'm not just saying that. You guys know that Mark Zuckerberg's doing the same thing, selling out a record amount of Meta stock while he builds his little bunker. And he comes to do the UFC deal, do a little dance for the public to see. Oh, Mark Zuckerberg's so cool, so trendy, coming to the UFC. Behind the scenes, it's bunker time. And selling out a stock. And that's exactly what Jamie Dimon's doing here once again. 178,000 of JP Morgan shares worth 32 million. He's now sold 180 million worth of his shares this year. Now, CEOs sell stock all the time. That's true. That's true. But this is the first time that Jamie Dimon has ever sold his shares of JP Morgan in the 15, 20 years that he's been in charge of this company. He's never sold stock until now. So what's that tell you? What kind of signal is that sending? What kind of signal was gold sending? That you know what is hitting the fan. Many people didn't take it serious. Many people don't understand that the American empire is falling. Many people will never get the opportunity that we once had in this country to create life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for your family. But you will get a UBI check. If you're a good little citizen slave, you might get your debt forgiven. You might, what did we just gave another 200,000 Americans got their student loan debt forgiven by Joe Biden. And like I said, that's great. That's fantastic. Everybody wants a handout. Everybody wants to fund this war, this program, and that program. Does the cash check? Does the check cash is what I meant to say. No, it doesn't. Or it does, and it is cashing for now, but it's cashing with a dollar that continues to be devalued. That's the problem. Yeah, the check still cashes. What's the cash get you? Doesn't get you much. Doesn't get you 99% of what it used to get you 100 years ago during the inception of the Federal Reserve, and just so happens to coincide near when the income tax was brought in as well. That's right, folks. We had a experiment going on here in America before the income tax, and we were doing just fine. We had great roads, great schools. We had really actually a good deal going on. And the mismanagement at the public sector, the abuse and overreach of the government, it's gone so far. We're all willing to pay a little tax. We're all willing to pay a fair share to get some roads built, to get some schools done. It should be done at a local level, though. Our federal government with $34 trillion in debt, $150 trillion in unfunded liabilities, and we just spent $1 billion in one night in a few hours defending Israel. I'm glad to see that our weapons of war are getting put to good use, I guess. That's awesome. That's good to see. How many times can we do that? And what are they preparing for next? See, unfortunately, it doesn't look like this event is over. A lot of folks were writing this off. Okay, this is the end of this deal. We're far from over. We're far from seeing this thing played out. And so what are we doing to prepare? Well, we're stacking as much of this fiat funny money as we can in the meantime so that we can allocate it towards real assets. We want businesses that cash flow. We want real estate that can provide cash flow or can provide utility housing that we need. We need shelter over our heads, right? So we want to get utility out of the real estate that we buy. We're not speculators. We're not buying real estate with the speculation that it's going to go up 10% next year. We're buying real estate because we need it to run our businesses from, to, provide for our families. We're buying real estate that cash flows from day one. We're buying real estate right. We're building our businesses. We have an allocation made to precious metals as a hedge insurance policy. Are we seeing gains in gold and silver right now? Yes, we are. It's doing exactly what it's intended to do. And we're stacking digital assets because we know where this transitions. Folks, we are getting on the right side of this transfer of wealth, and I just continue to reiterate, we got many folks that are distracted by today's price actions. They see, oh, price of XRP went down today. Did that change the fundamentals? No. Should it change your life? No, because you should already have deals cooking. Your pipeline should already be filled with deals that you got cooking, right? We want to get something already brewing, something already warmed up. And then when XRP goes, it's just more fuel on our fire. When gold and silver get revalued, it's just more fuel on our fire. When you take advantage of what we're sharing in our community about growing your side hustle, scaling up your business, it's only more fuel on your fire. Get something cooking, and we wake up every single day looking to add more fuel to the fire, and we continue to build and compound what we're building, not waiting for a handout. Not waiting for Biden to cut a check. Not waiting for Trump to cut us a check. Not waiting for somebody to forgive us for debt that we've taken out. But building real businesses, real value, and investing in the assets that are going to get us through this storm, but then also compound generational wealth on the other side of this revaluation. That's what's taking place right now. Case in point, gold. Silver following, XRP to soon follow. Let's take advantage of it. If you guys appreciate what we're doing, you know what you can do for me. Help me share it out far and wide. Everything's at my website, zachrector.com. And this empire is going down, but it doesn't mean that our wealth needs to go down. It doesn't mean that our businesses need to go down. I hope as an American that we can save this country, God willing. But regardless, we're going to be creating generational wealth one way or another. I appreciate all of you guys. I'll see you in the next one. God bless. I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.